is dealing with opportunity costs of growth. And this, before I bring on the topic of discussion, I'm going to certainly introduce the amazing speakers that I have with me here. But before all that, because this is our first discussion event in the year 2023, I'd like to welcome you all to 2023 as we begin it with an amazing style. May we end it well, and then may it be the better year for us and beyond for all of us. So, without wasting much time, I'm going to share my screen to introduce to you, the viewers, the amazing speakers that I have with me today, who will be discussing with you the topic of discussion we have for you, and they will definitely be doing justice to the topic as we move along. I hope my screen is seen from your end.
Yes, please, we're seeing it.
Okay. All right. It's still viewable, right?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay, I mean, this is a usual face. I'm sure whoever is a follower or keen follower of this program, this face is not a new face. It's always been there. The smiling face, always smiling. The first thing you see is the smile when you see this face. So she's Miss Hadi Deva. She is a senior banker with an international bank in the Gambia. She's also an aspiring business or entrepreneur. She has a BA in business administration from the University of Wales and MBA from the University of Putra, Malaysia. She is a personal development enthusiast. Welcome to Generation Next, Ms. Hadi Deva.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. I think new year, but still the same generous Mohammed. He's very generous with it. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in yet another year. We pray for prosperity for all of us, especially here at Generation Next, and also for the Generation Next program as well. So thank you for having me once again. I think, as you already know, and Mohammed has already said, I'm part of the Generation Next family, and I'm excited to also welcome our guests. Thank you, so Mohammed.
Thank you, Hadi. It's a pleasure to always have you here. And here is another beautiful soul. She is none other than Miss Fatu Janke Jawara. She's a young Gambian working with the National Nutrition Agency, NANA, as a senior program officer. She holds a BSc Nutrition and MCA at Masters Public Health Promotion and Development. Thank you very much to have you on Generation Next, Fatu Janke Jawara.
All right, Mohammed, thank you so much. Thank you for having me on this platform.
Right.
And I guess I'm not new to Hadi. Anyway, Hadi Deva sense. Thank you for having me. And it's really nice. It's a nice feeling to be on this side of the platform. Usually I do view you guys, but I'm always on the other side, on the viewer side. So it's actually a pleasure being here. And then also I'm wishing all the viewers a happy new year with new prospects, new opportunities, developments, whatever that people are focusing on or whatever their agenda is. And I think this is a really great topic to start with in this new year as well. So may we have a fruitful deliberations.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
It's amazing to start here with this, because this is indeed a topic that is very helpful to prepare our minds, make ourselves know that everything in life, you have to sacrifice one thing or the other to get to another stage. So I'm going to hear from you, the speakers, to tell me how we are going to deal with this topic of discussion. As we all know, this is dealing with opportunity cost of growth. Growth is something that you relatively will do to help you move from one state to the other. So when we say opportunity cost, this is something that you're willing to let go of to be able to prepare yourself to do something better that is going to add to your future. So I'm going to start with you, Ms. Deba. What comes to your mind first when we say it, dealing with opportunity cost of the growth?
Thank you so much, Mohammed. I think essentially when people hear opportunity cost, and I think one interesting fact is even a conversation I had with Janke before this program, is when you hear opportunity cost, we immediately spring to economics, the economics term opportunity cost. And I like to,
Absolutely.
yeah, I like to say that yes, the term does derive from from economics, and basically the meaning more or less is the benefit that is foregone in order to take on a new opportunity. So basically, when just in layman's terms, is what you have to let go to get to what you actually want. So you know how, I think just the simplest form of talking about it is no matter what it is that you have today, there's something that you have to drop in order to get to where you want to get to, tomorrow or whenever in your life. So I think the topic of discussion is apt, especially in the new year, because I think in the new year, most people, what they're doing is trying to map out the things that they want to achieve within the coming year, the year that they are in, the new year. Because it's obviously a new start, a clean slate. You're starting January 1 and you wish to, achieve something by half year or by the end of the year. You wish to make a change in your life, you wish to walk towards a goal that you've been having for quite a while. Often a new year that you map out what it is that you are meant to do or you're supposed to do in order to achieve the things that you want to achieve. And I think one of the things that people need to recognize is that when you are on a journey of growth, you have to do a lot of shedding. Right? And what I mean by shedding is that you have to let go of a lot of things that are normal to you, because the idea of growth is to actually change, to modify, to step into something bigger than what you're used to. And it's never easy. And I think that's one of the things that, scientists have found, that our brain on an average day spews out 90% of negative thoughts. And we have seen that it's almost like your body is fighting you when you want to achieve something as simple as trying to eat healthy, right? You have to forgo all the sweet food, the ice creams, all the, interesting, exciting food. So that is what we're going to talk about today. And I think, looking at, we're going to basically borrow from our own personal experience, because that is important. On the Generation Next platform, we want to bring certain issues that we are dealing with as young people in the country, bring it to the fore and have a healthy discussion about it, share ideas, and hopefully someone somewhere can be listening to us and resonate with what it is that we're saying. So I'm excited for today's topic. I'm excited.
Great start, Ms. Hadideva. That was amazing. I think it seems to have lost. Okay, you're
sorry,
still.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back.
You're
okay.
back. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So especially from, our guest speaker, Fatu Janke and yourself, Mohammed. So that is basically, an overview of what I feel about today's topic.
Right. Thank you very much. I mean, that is an amazing start to start with. This is what we are looking towards, the opportunity cost of growth. Like I say, in life, there must be something that you're willing to let go of, and that is the opportunity cost. And what is it that you're willing to let go of that will help you to grow and become something better or someone better off in the future or in life. At this point, I'm going to bring in Ms. Janke to also tell me when this topic is shared with you, what is the first thing that comes to mind?
Thank you, Mohammed. I think, rightfully, like Hadi has mentioned, we kind of discussed on this, because when I first heard of the topic, I'm like, Hadi, me, my background, this is what to do with, it sounds economics and all that. He was like, no, if you actually think about it, yes, it is economic, like Hadi has rightfully defined it. And when I started thinking about it, I was like, you know what, thinking about it, like in terms of growth, knowing what opportunity cost is, as Hadi has defined, it's easy to connect it with like everyday life. So for me, I look at it as like a huge filter in life. It's like a huge filter that you're always making. There's always something that you have to trade off for the best next alternative.
Right.
So this is how I see it. And then obviously when I always like when I'm in these sort of forums, I always like to look at it both informal and informal sectors based on, like, you know, obviously the job that I am doing, we always working with the informal sector as well. And in terms, when you hear the word growth, it's not only about the formal sectors. Growth can be anything that an individual is venturing in, be it the market seller, be it the vendors, be it even bitiki pol you want to see growth in everything that you're venturing in. So
That's right.
obviously, if you forfeit one thing and you go, it's that cost that you're forfeit. Like basically, it's what you're actually giving up. And this actually reminds me, as I was looking more into this topic, I read somewhere in an article, a title, it's titled "The Scoop on Scarcity." That I read, and this it explains, it narrates like in life, we can't have everything that we want.
Right.
But interestingly, we can do anything, but also not everything. You know what I mean? So
Right.
we always have to ask ourselves, like, what are we sacrificing in order to get like the best out of the next thing that we're focusing on?
Indeed.
So it's, yes. So in terms of that, we should be able to ask ourselves, what am I giving up now? Or in terms of whatever that I'm venturing it, am I looking at it in terms of, is this like an immediate benefit I want from it? Or am I looking at it in terms of like a, you know, long-term benefit? And these are the trade-offs that we usually have to make in order to grow. You know, but you know, as human nature, we want everything. You know what I mean? And then this is practically impossible. And you know, when we want everything, obviously, we're confronted by scarcity in terms of like, is it scarcity in terms of supplies of limited goods, or is it supplies on opportunity, or whatever that we're venturing in? So in terms of growth, it's always about looking at whatever I am going at, is there a long-term benefit in this? Is there anything that I am going to be forfeiting now in order to benefit from what I will be benefiting from in years later or in decades to come?
Yeah.
So for me, in terms of opportunity cost of growth, this is how I view it in this viewpoint.
As you started, you know, Jenke, the point that you highlight, this is it can be applied in every aspect of our life, you know, be it a formal lifestyle or the informal life sector, because it's a broad topic and it can range from different kind of, and it will still fit in as the discussions goes in. Because what we are trying to look at is how you will be able to prepare yourself to let go of things that will pull you down and focus on things that is going to help you to become better off in the society. And that is going to be the opportunity cost of growth. You know, for example, I remember when I was in high school, at some point, I almost, you know, things almost fall apart because I was doing something that is distracting me. But when I realized, I said, well, this is not helpful. I mean, I change it. And that becomes the opportunity cost, because I know once I continue on that path, it's not going to help me become who I am today, you know, and that has helped me a lot. And I'm sure a lot of people, including yourself, have similar situations. What is it that you, Hadi, for example, you're going to share with us to tell us what is it that you were willing to let go of and become who you are today?
I think it's interesting, and I'm happy to relate it to you. But one scenario that comes to mind is I think one thing that, you know, it's already obvious from my introduction is that I got my first degree in the UK. I was lucky enough to be sent to further my studies, my first degree by my dad, to study in the UK. And I remember, you know, as a student, obviously people who study abroad would realize, whether it's in the UK or wherever in the world, especially if you have the opportunity to work, you would work to make certain ends meet. So basically, either you're working to pay your fees, or you're working to pay your rent and feeding and stuff to get by. So I was lucky enough to not have to worry about fees and living expenses. However, my travel and stuff expenses like that, I had to take care of myself. And I remember we had there was a limit to the number of hours that you had to work, right? So, you know, everybody knows, who knows me knows that as an aspiring entrepreneur, money is sweet. I love money. So one of the first that comes to mind for me is that, you know, I remember always my dad having to tell me, make sure that you do not breach the 20 hours that you're meant to work, because your work, your study visa depends on it. So it was like an impossible balancing act, because on the other hand, you want to stay there and study and earn your degree because your parents have sacrificed a whole lot. And even from my parents' point of view, there's an opportunity cost, because they could have spent that money acquiring more property or developing themselves financially or even personally, or enjoying it. And there, you know, it wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been wrong for them to do so, and I could have studied anywhere else. However, they made the sacrifice to send me all over to the UK with the financial sacrifice, financial burden that was for them. So every time I was being reminded to make sure I balance, you know, and there were these hours that were being given to me because I was there, I was working hard. I you know, my managers loved working with me because I ensured that I did my duties to the highest, you know, with the utmost diligence. So managers were always offering me more hours, and the money was quite interesting because as I was growing, my hourly pay was growing. So that meant, you know, with every hour I worked, I was getting more money. But in the end, I had to really decide to trade off and think about what is more important to me. Because at the end of the day, regardless of what happens, you know, the money it was very sweet, but it was just at the moment. It was at that moment I would have gained the money, but then in the long run it would have hurt me. So I had to do a trade-off and understand what it is that I'm working towards. Why was I there in the first place? And that's to acquire a degree, right? And to make sure I do not breach the rules and regulations of the country, because if I did, then I would not be staying there legally. And what was my purpose for staying there in the first place? It was to study. So I had to really give myself that pep talk, and it was not easy, to be honest with you, because, you know, there were many times where I really needed those funds. I really needed money, to have money coming in. So that balance meant that, you know, I had to even pinch when it comes to, you know, what to spend my money on. You know, I couldn't just be like most students who are around me buying new clothes every time, attending all the parties that were going on, or going out to the restaurants or clubbing and stuff like that always, all the time. We had to find ways to enjoy ourselves cheaply, you know, and make sure that we balance what sent us there. So you would find that a lot of our friends went to study, but not everyone earned their degree. I had a lot of colleagues, friends from different parts of the world who maybe based on their own decisions in life, they have other things. And even towards the end of my study, I had to really think about whether to come home and work, gain experience, or stay there and try and hustle and find papers and stuff like that. Obviously, it's obvious what decision I made. And the opportunity cost of my decision is that, you know, let's say I am not a British citizen right now, but I am glad for the decision I made, and I am happy to stand by and stick by the decision I make. I have come to terms with the opportunity cost of the decision I made, and this is the trajectory of my life, and I'm always having to make similar decisions in my life right now to make sure I get to the future that I aspire for myself. So this is one scenario that comes to mind. You know, there are tons of scenarios, but this is just one from, you know, my youth coming up. One of the things that I had to deal with.
Amazing. That was a great one. That was a great one. That is, you know, like you just said, there's a lot of things that were there for you to look into, but you have to be able to decide what is it that is going to add value to your life. And definitely it's not a regret because it has paid off well.
Absolutely. Based on the goals that I had for my life, I had a vision for my life. And even though there's so many things I would still love to achieve, but I think based on the vision I had for my life, I'm on the right track. I do not regret what I had to let go So I think that's something that people need to always remind themselves of. Like Bianca said, you can achieve anything, but you cannot achieve everything.
Everything.
You
Right.
have to make a conscious decision every step of the way. What am I willing to let go for what I truly want? And when you do get that what you want, you should not feel like you've left something or you've lost something, because we cannot dwell in the past. We have to keep moving forward. But everything that you have to let go of something for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is very true. Janke, I mean, as we're talking about dealing with the opportunity cost of growth, and we know in general, growth refers to as the self-improvement of skills or knowledge or personal qualities, life goals, and outlook. Now, from this point of points that have been highlighted, what can you highlight as far as you are concerned that in relation to this topic?
Ooh, Mohammed, where do I begin? I think I think I'll just piggyback from Hadi's point, because we have quite a similar sort of story, because I also did my bachelor's in the UK as well. My bachelor's degree in nutrition, and then Hadi knows the struggle, because like she said as well, we had kind of similar story, but also I only did not have to worry about, my basic needs, but I really have to worry about my school fees as well, or my tuition fees, because this was paid by my mother. You know what I mean? So
Right.
my mother having to, hustle and pay for me. I mean, I definitely have to know that. I definitely have to know always what I left behind as well. And then, like Heidi was saying as well, like we could have been there and said that we are going to be having a good time while studying and all that. But then again, that's the opportunity because I think we missed, even though I will not totally say we haven't, we have, but we had to be mindful about what was the real reason that sent us there. You know what I mean? So like she made mention as well, we can only work 20 hours, or we can work longer hours when actually there was a school break or school holidays as well. That's when you can actually gather most of what you can actually gather in order to be able to sustain yourself. Because come on, let's face it, in the UK, 20 hours per week is nothing. It's just pittance. But then again, this is what we had to forfeit in order to like reap the benefits right about now. Because as you can see, us, alhamdulillah, our status now is much better than how we were like. You should have seen me when I returned back to the Gambia. I was like a stick. I was like very skinny. You have to imagine all the stress that we had gone through. But then again,
it was a hard work for you.
Oh my goodness gracious. That's why Mohammed, when I was done, I'm like, I pack all my stuff and I'm like, I'm going home.
Wow.
And yes, and for me, the way I see it is like the opportunity that my best alternative is coming back to the Gambia, coming back home. That is where I coin my best alternative, because I was looking at the time that we were there, around, was it 2014, no, 2012, around that year, 2012, 13, 14, it was the recession. So even we have some of our lecturers that have been laid off, like their jobs and all that. So sometimes I always give this example. What's the best opportunity that I could have? Is it in the Gambia or is it back in UK? Because come on, will they take an Elizabeth or a Fatu Janke Jawara when the CV is put forward? Do you know what I mean? I know it's not about, sometimes they judge you based off, these are the first things as well. I know it's good, it's great in the UK that you don't present your picture and all that, because it can reduce bias and all that. But I want to compare recently, because I did my master's here in the UTG, University of the Gambia. That's where I did my master's in public health. And in doing this as well, there was another, there's another side to it, because I did not have to pay. Do you know what I mean? And also I was supported by the agency that I am working for. And then for me at that point, you can ask her, even my bedroom, I had a table where I sit down and study. I was always, because I'm like, I chose this thing here. This is my best alternative right now, because I cannot forfeit this based on it's funded as well. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
working in an institution where the competition is quite high. So I really had to focus. And there are other things I could have been doing because, as you may know, my work entails a lot of field work. And the more field work you go, how do you know, the more allowances you get. But the more money you earn, but I had to forfeit all that in order to focus on doing my master's, because I was looking at, like previously mentioned, the long-term benefit of acquiring a master's degree. Because, you know, right now the competition is very high. You know, you cannot just do your bachelor's and sit and just wait. You know, even working at the agency that I've been working for a few years, there were other applicants that are coming and they were having their masters, and I'm like, hey, I've been here longer than this. I have to take the break now and stop looking for the coin and then go back and then study. So these are the things that, in order to grow, these are the trade-offs that you have to make in life, I believe. And these are the two experiences that I have faced, both in doing my bachelor's degree, but in doing my master's degree, because I am in a more mature state as well. And I think also it's important we factor in like the maturity aspect of it, because it has to come into play. Because in order to grow, maturity plays a lot of, it plays a lot into it as well. Because you have to make, like Hadima has mentioned, you have to make conscious decision. You have to look at it as what would I do now if I leave this thing? What am I gaining in the near future? Or am I not interested in what I'm gaining in the near future? Or am I just interested in the immediate benefits? And these are the questions that we have to constantly ask ourselves in order to always grab the next best alternatives, or in order to actually make peace in what we are forfeiting in order to get the best next alternative. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Janke. I mean, I'm so amazed with the setups or the trade-offs that you had to do. We all know Gambia is a very hard country. It's not easy. So if you have to let go of all those allowances to be able to concentrate for a better remuneration in the future, that really paid off, and that is the right path to take, because at the end of the day, just like you have said, people are coming with greater qualifications, and what is going to happen is you will still remain to be where you are, and then you see those people going up. So you have to sacrifice the opportunities that were presented now to look for what is coming in the future. That is great. And that is something that everybody should emulate, you know, in life, you know.
And so I think even essentially with most things, in fact, with everything in life, I think one thing that us young people need to realize, nothing good comes easy.
No, absolutely.
But that sentence in its own tells you that you have to deal with letting go of certain things. It could be behavior traits, it could be benefits that you're getting from your current situation or job or whatever, or some people, friends that you have around you. Like I said, in order to grow, you have to shed. We see plants grow. We see plants grow. Plants do not grow carrying most of the things that they started out with. In order for a plant to grow into a big tree, it has to do a lot of shedding over time. And even over seasons, you see trees shed their old leaves in order to grow, blossom into. And oftentimes we even see this analogy where farmers will have to cut some parts of the tree in order to help the tree grow better. So you ask, I've seen that happen, and I found it interesting. I've seen, you know, gardeners will be like chopping up certain parts of the tree.
So
and
all those are lesson learned, right?
No, exactly. These are some of the things that you can learn from life. And I'm asking them, why do you have to? No, in order for this to grow well, I need to chop this off. So it's an analogy for our lives. Sometimes you have to chop certain things off. You have to step away from certain things. And I think we can't have myopic views of the things that we want to achieve. And I think a lot of the things that holds us back is the fact that a lot of the times we find it very hard to see the long term. And Janke mentioned she had to do an analysis of the long term, her long term goals and the long term benefits her studying would have towards helping her achieve those goals. So I think sometimes what that means is, you know, are you looking for the long-term satisfaction, or are you looking for immediate instant gratification? So instant gratification is the opportunity cost of working towards long-term growth and satisfaction. And then this is something that people need to understand. And I know that letting go of things letting go of situations, letting go of opportunities. Sometimes you see people will have to even move from where they are, go to a different place, have new friends, almost craft a new life just to get to where they go, and it's painful. It's difficult. But it's a necessary part of sometimes what we need to do, and we need to understand. Sometimes, just like the gardener had to chop off those parts of the tree.
So you have to chop off anything that is going to distract you.
Hadi,
you need to do it to get to where you want to get to.
And Hadi, this is quite interesting. And once you started talking about, shedding it, something popped to mind. And then it reminds me, like, when I just started working at the National Nutrition Agency, I was much younger back then. Let's say that was about 6-7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And by then, obviously, I am, nakalang semester. I came, with all the so with all the mindset I came with. And then once I started working, and then once I started getting used to my TOR, I started realizing, because my job, it's about sensitization, it's about raising awareness, behavioral change, all of these things. It comes with growth. It comes with a certain comportment that you have to also take in life. You know what I mean? Because then I started realizing I cannot be standing in front of so many people. I used to do lectures at the School of Nursing and all that.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, there are certain things now that I really have to cope. I really have to change, because I cannot be a lecturer or standing lecturing in front of people and I am still behaving a certain way. So you can see, even with my job, a certain type of growth came with it. You know what I mean? Even my comportment, even the way I dress, even the way I look, all of these things changing gradually because of I am growing in my place of work as well. So these are things that will naturally come whilst you're growing as well. So I guess, like I said when we started discussion, like opportunity cost, how to deal with it is an everyday filter of life or in life. It's like you're filtering, you're making trade-offs. And if you want to grow, especially when you're faced with bigger opportunity, I mean, really, we have to trade off. We have to, like you made mention, like it's not going to be easy. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like the most nicest feeling at all, but these are sacrifices that you have to make, or you're willing to make in terms of growing into what you're adventuring, or in terms of growing into a post or position or whatever that you're doing in life. So,
and I like
Mohammed, we could not ask for a better topic today.
Honestly, there's this joke I like to make. I think even relationships, there's a lot of opportunity because it's just that it's unfortunate that women discussed this. Yes, women tend to get women tend to experience the opportunity cost exposure
even more
when compared to men. Especially in our society, it's a predominantly Muslim community, and that means men can have up to 4 wives. However, a woman can only ever marry one man at a time. Well, typically, that's the norm. I'm not saying there are not some outliers. There's some women with multiple husbands, but so this is the thing. So if even with a young lady who is having to choose a husband, and I hope that young ladies are paying attention to this and we're not just rushing into picking our men. You'll have to do an opportunity cost assessment.
Of course.
Because I'm sure when you're about to get married, there are many men. But then there are many men at your doorstep knocking, and you always have to do like a pros and cons list. That is what we're saying.
So you have to do a listing of each one and then profile them.
That is what we're saying. You doing those pros and cons lists, filtering and thinking to myself, Mr. A is kind, Mr. A is so generous, but Mr. A is ugly. So I probably have ugly days. Or Mr. B is handsome, Mr. B is tall, but Mr. B is poor. And what would I chop when we get married? So there are these things that you need to think of. And once you make your decision, whether it's Mr. A, B, C, or D, you have to realize you have to live with that decision. Right? You have to live
Hadi,
with that
I think that's another angle as well. But even another angle is that even when you're married as well, there's an opportunity cost there as well, because there are some things that you have to give up, and in giving up certain things, be it negative or be it positive, it's always so that you can build
family
up
will prosper.
that the family, or or your relationship between you and your husband into something that will benefit the both of you. So like we've been discussing round and round again, that opportunity cost, you can look at it in every way,
It's a broad
in
topic.
every angle. It's very
and
broad.
It's a broad topic,
Exactly.
and it can fit in any dimension you put it. It can fit in.
Yeah.
Now,
Absolutely.
amazingly, this become it's already like we cannot find an end to this. We will keep on talking and talking and talking
course.
about this topic, especially the way it is coming. Ideas are falling upon, but if you flash back, I'm listening to Denke with some of the adjustments he has done. And sometimes people can look at this from a negative point of view. And how would you be able to handle it? Let's say, for example, you change your behavior, you change your dress code, you change certain things. It send a message to people to perceive you a certain way, putting it in a negative energy. How would you address situations like, because some of those things can happen when you're trying to change for better?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
oh, is that for me? Can
yes,
I go?
yes, that's for you. That's
okay. All right. Okay. Mohammed, thank you so much. I mean, that is something that is inevitable. That is life. You know what I mean? You're always going to have some people that are on both opposite side of the fence. You know what I mean? But I think here, what we have to do is try to see how we can bring everyone in the middle of the fence so that we can see at both coin or both sides of the fence. And when I say that, what I meant is that communication is a problem. Do you know what I mean? Communication is a really big problem, because even if that person, it's about that person that is seeing the negative side of me changing my dress code or me changing my behavior. It's about them not understanding why I am doing that. And when the person cannot, when they don't understand what you're doing or why they change, there's always a problem or an issue. And I think this is why communication is key. Because for me right now, the department that I am in at the agency, I am under the social and behavior change communication unit. And then in that aspect, change doesn't come, it comes over time. You cannot just change people's mindset or change people's behavior or the way they think. It's about gradually changing them. And that's where communication comes in, because they need to understand why am I like this, or why am I dressing as such, or why do I not want to be associated in a certain gathering or whatnot. It all comes because initially I would not mind doing so, but then again I am growing in another aspect career-wise. So hence this is why I'm making all these necessary changes in life, especially if I'm in a position where I'm trying to change people's behavior, I'm trying to modify people's behavior. For example, if I am, I hope this doesn't come out wrong, but no. I cannot advise somebody on their diet or on their BMI or their size or whatnot if I am looking even bigger than them, or if I don't, you know what I mean, if I am not maintaining
healthy,
exactly. So exactly, if I'm not doing exactly as I am saying or exactly as I am preaching. So it's all about communication. People need to be communicated. This is why we're constantly raising awareness. We're constantly trying to change people's behavior. And sometimes, I don't want to deal too far into it, but if you want to change an individual's behavior, it's not only the focus should be on them, but also the surrounding of that individual, because there are many things in life that influences that person's behavior. Usually you'll see that even somebody's behavior wants to change, but if the people around them have a certain mindset, they will never be able to change. So this is what it is about. We don't only focus on individual, but we focus on the social or the community or where that person is. So Mohammed, if where I'm working out right now, if I was seeing people that were, acting a certain way or that were not behaving a certain way, so obviously I'll pretty much be relaxed and just be like where I am. I'll not have the initiative, or I'll not have the willingness to change. So basically, I think in life, not everybody is going to go according to how you're thinking or according to how you behave or your outlook in life.
Yeah.
But I guess it's all about bringing all of them along. Nobody left behind. That's saying nobody left behind. Because for me, I think sometimes people usually say, Janky, you don't have patience, even at my workplace. But I'm like, this patience is how you get people to see from the same lens
What
that
you're
you're
doing.
looking at, or your same,
Right.
yeah,
Mhm.
from your same view in life.
But I think
Right.
for me,
So,
my perspective, from looking at it from a personal point of view, I share a slightly different view. I think from a very personal perspective,
Mhm.
as a young, let's say as a young person who is
Right.
going through a change, and Janke is talking about it from the professional point of view
Right.
and based on the work that she's doing. And that's absolutely right, because you need to carry people along, especially if you want to change, if you want a gradual change of mindset. However, if you're looking at it from a personal development point of view, when you make a decision to elevate yourself, be it education wise, be it even your personal comportment and how you deal with issues and your emotional comportment with things, oftentimes people will tell you you have changed.
Yes.
So whatever you're
Yeah.
going through, even if it's you're going through a religious elevation or even a style elevation, even a comportment elevation, whatever you're going through, as long as it's an elevation from the status you are in, there are people around you who are going to have one or two negative things to say. You're like,
Absolutely.
I'd like to tell young people, you're like, and even from family members,
oh no, I don't like
people
that.
throw
That one,
those
legi
comments.
tubab.
And exactly, and I'd
I
like to
don't like
say
it.
something as a word of encouragement. That is where the pruning and the gardening, chopping comes in.
Right.
Now, you don't have to do it in a harsh, disrespectful way, but you can mentally shut yourself out from those negative thoughts and remove yourself. Don't take it as negative, because oftentimes people project.
Yeah.
Now, when people see you growing, they recognize it as growth. I feel
They
like
do.
young people, especially when I look at young people dynamics, even from my own personal experience, when you decide to improve yourself in a certain aspect, trust me, the people around you that are making those comments, they recognize that growth too.
Absolutely.
And there's a side of them that is impressed that you have the goals and the guts to do that. However, and they do not. So sometimes their comments are projecting some of those inadequate feelings that they have within themselves. So that's where you have to be kind to them, but most importantly, kind to yourself, and remain focused on your goal, and realize that sometimes having to let those people go or having to move past them is the opportunity cost of your own personal development, right? And I like the perspective that Janke gave. And sometimes in order to, like when you're looking at community development, when you're looking at improving people's mindsets, example, when we talk about having a cleaner community, having a healthier community, having healthy practices within our community, changing people's mindset from the grassroots up, we have to be patient and bring people in. However, when you're looking at individual, because everything starts at the individual level, you cannot grow if you are being held back by your community. And sometimes that's where the pruning have to come in, And I'd say to the young person that's going through right now that has friends, don't be arrogant, don't be self-centered, don't be rude, but let it be known that you are doing what you're doing for yourself, and you're not going to stop what you're doing regardless of their opinion about what you're doing, respectfully. So, even if it means removing yourself from those people, having a different group of friends, then so be it. But your growth is paramount, because in life, growth is the normal thing in life. There's certain constants in life that we cannot fight, and that's change, growth, death. Right? So these are the things that we cannot fight. They're the realities of life that we cannot, no matter how much we want to remain stagnated, it will happen. Even a person who's protesting and saying, I'm not moving anyway, you're still going to grow. You're still gonna, even if you're not going to move, you're still going to
You'll move.
So whether you're going to grow into the ground or grow upward, whatever you do, you're going to grow. So I think, just being firm and confident in it, and convicted in what you're doing, and even with Janke's scenario, is the conviction in what you're doing that will give you the patience to bring people along.
Yep.
So if you're not the better version of yourself, and if you've not gone through the sacrifice of growing into the better version of yourself, then how can you improve and bring people along?
It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult. Ladies, thank you very much. This is a very, very interesting topic of discussion, and I like the part that Hadi you highlighted, that is chopping up. When you want to grow, I'm looking at tree, even in my compound. The other day I came, I realized they chop off some part of the tree. I'm like, okay, what is this? And they told me this is what This is what is going to help it to grow. I say, oh, okay.
Grow.
Now it
Mhm.
reminds me when you bring on that, that means even in life, some kind of individuals, friends or whoever that are not adding value to your life, you can continue adding them to yourself. You want to keep on moving, because this is what you need to realize, that I have to let go of some individuals, some people to be able to be better off. Because if you keep them, it means they're going to drain you down,
They
and
drain you.
you're not going to take any further step to what you're doing.
Absolutely.
That is right.
And if you are the friend that is being let go, you have to check yourself. What it is about you that is draining your friend. So I think I'd like to bring in that perspective, because oftentimes people talk about, no, it's my era of growth, it's my era of elevation, and I'm letting go of anything that does not serve me. Oftentimes, sometimes you're the one, you're the problem.
You're the problem.
Exactly.
And
You're
it's
the
worse
one
if you don't
they're letting
realize
go.
it.
Exactly. It's even worse. That means you don't even know, first of all, what the issue is. So you can't even talk about growth and the opportunity cost of growth. So self-introspection is important. Don't let yourself be the part of the tree that is being pruned, right?
That is being chopped.
Yes. Make sure that you are the one responsible for the chopping. And if it requires you doing the inner work to be the type of friend that you need in your life, then do that inner work. And that is where the growth comes in. Sometimes getting ourselves to be, sometimes what is holding us back in terms of growth is actually ourselves, what is in our head. We're in our own internal prisons, and we need to let that go. Our idea of who we are, or who our life, or what our life is, sometimes can hold us back. We're going to have challenges. All of us have different backgrounds. Janke and I mentioned our background. I'm sure if Mohammed was to mention his story, his background, and the opportunity cost of the things that he led, the comfort of his home that he had to leave behind, having your mother around, and going to a new space, even if it's the same country, but still you're living in a different environment.
And Hadi, we have heard of those stories. Like, us, we're like, how do they call us again? Combo kids. But you see, like back then, like people have to leave, like, their communities or their villages, and then having to come
our
back.
dads, for example.
And then I always used to think, oh my God, would I be able to do this if it was us back then? Do you know what I mean? And maybe our mindset is like this because of we have not actually experienced that. But I have heard time and time again, even my dad,
people tell you stories.
Yeah, people tell you stories. And then you realize that, Hadi, if you're growing, your circle becomes smaller. And it's okay. It's okay to accept that when you're growing, your circle will become smaller. And it's those people that you're leaving behind are those that cannot actually understand your growth. And it's okay.
It's
I
absolutely
think it's okay. Exactly.
When their turn comes, they would understand.
Exactly. And as you grow as well, you're growing with people that also are willing to grow, are willing to have a different set of mind. You know what I mean? Because like I was saying, it takes a lot of maturity to grow.
Absolutely.
And this maturity comes in having to decide that, okay, today, them nap or sit down here, and whatever that I am discussing right now is going to benefit somebody who's listening out there. You know what I mean? And for me, here's the opportunity cost.
It was an easy option. So the nap was the opportunity cost, but we are glad that you'd rather spend the time with us than nap.
Yes,
but
exactly.
It's very important, because sometimes you can be like, I come from this thing has happened to me, or this one has done something to me. It's difficult, I know, but we have to find a way to live beyond to be bigger than our experiences, because
you know what, we are not, even us, we have had to like learn the hard way as well. Do you know what I mean? And then I mean, right now when I sleep, I'm fine and happy knowing that you, Hadi Dibo, you're my best friend. I'm good with that, because I feel like, hey, when I come to Hadi, I get sound advice. You know what I mean? She tells me, even if I'm wrong, Hadi is not the one who's like afraid to tell me, no, Janki, you're actually wrong. You need to do so and so and so. So, I go to sleep fine and I wake up great. Just, knowing that I don't have, exactly. I have good people around me. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Vice versa. It's the same with me as well.
And that's what everyone needs for you to be able to
Mhm.
grow better. You need people around you who are going to help you grow by
Exactly.
advising you at good advices, asking you to leave of things that were not going to help you at all.
Mhm.
So those are the
Absolutely.
individuals you need in your life to be able to
Mhm.
become better and grow. Like it
Exactly.
says, I mean, growth also, it helps you to learn to be better, to better control your emotions and negative
Yes,
thoughts,
you're right.
and
Mhm.
and also overcoming procrastinations or
Mhm.
laziness. So you have to be
Absolutely.
learning new
Absolutely.
things or skills when you want to grow. And
Mhm.
that
Of
comes with,
course.
Mhm.
letting out, like I'm still going to back to Hadi's analogies. You have to cut off some of the branches. And
Absolutely.
That's right. But
Absolutely.
it's true.
you know,
It's
Mm.
yeah.
true.
So
It is.
ladies, I can tell you, we are not going to be able to exhaust this topic, you know.
Absolutely not.
We wouldn't be
Mhm.
able to exhaust this topic just today because it's
Mhm.
there's going to be a lot of discussions and there's going to be a
Mhm.
lot of ideas as we continue. But to try to sum it up, what is the advice that we can give to young people when it comes to dealing with opportunity cost of growth? Let me start with Jankin.
Hey, I wrote something down.
Uh-huh. So let's
This
go
is
back
good.
to that. Let's go back to that.
So yeah, and this is just something I was waiting for because I know we'll have a closing.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So it says that it says in the real world, you have
Mhm.
to find something that you can understand and master to your fingertip, and
Mhm.
also have passion for. And that's the best you have available once you found it. And
Right.
it says that then you measure everything against that because it's your opportunity cost.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. That is
So
very right.
exactly. So I had this thing written down because I know we'll have a closing section. And I,
And you got it there.
Absolutely.
yes.
That's great. That's great. And Hadi, what is it that you will
I
tell the young person that is out there who doesn't know what it is that to chop off and what is it to hold on to?
This chop off is not
Absolutely.
going.
I like what Janke read out, that you have to find one thing that you are very much interested in and willing to grow in and dedicate your time. And I want one thing to be very clear to myself and to every young person out there, is that growth is difficult.
Yeah.
Number one, it's not easy. It's not going to be an easy, and sometimes we'd rather just, stay where we are and just let things, comme
Yeah.
yàlla li moo def, xam nga, that concept, yàlla li moo def na ko ba pare li maa lifin. Waaye yàlla yàlla béy
Yàlla mu ne, yàlla mu ne.
yàlla béy sa tool.
Yàlla
li moo
yàlla
def
béy sa tool. Li moo def na ko de, is left yow yaa war a dooli.
Exactly. But I also believe that, they tell you in the Quran, I'm not sure, don't quote me, but I believe, this is my belief, that even though we have destiny and there's indeed destiny, there comes to a point in someone's destiny where the pen is put down. And depending on the decision and the choices you make, your life can go either way. So the
Right.
destiny, those two parts are written, or those different parts are written. So you can get the outcome that you only get the outcome that you work for. And whatever outcome you get, you are destined for that outcome, because that's the outcome that you're willing to work for. And whatever outcome you're destined for and you get, there's going to be something that you forgo and lose in life, or something that, it just depends on your perspective. There are things that you're going to have to let go to achieve the things you want. So are you going to see those things as losses? Or are you going to see those things as the sacrifices that you just have to make to get to the place that you want to get to? And these things, they're two different perspectives. If you're going to look at it as losses, then you can never grow, because you're going to be left in the past, and you're also always going to think yesterday was better.
Right.
And we have this concept, and there's this thing about human beings you'll find interesting. They like to think of yesterday in a very sweet way, in a very nostalgic way. Yesterday is never bad to people. I'm not one of those people, and I try not to be one of those people. I try to recognize yesterday as what it is, yesterday. There's nothing.
Yesterday is an experience.
It's an experience, and it's gone.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better than today.
So you
Right?
always have to focus on today and tomorrow.
today.
Exactly.
Take the
Yesterday,
step, take the bold step today. Yesterday, my seeming test time no boy, so you know, hey, time you
and the plane stopped.
no.
I
People
think,
will try to make you feel that way. So just focus on today
yeah,
and make a decision to just walk towards the tomorrow that you want. Tomorrow
Right.
is not promised, but you can, the decisions you make today have a lot to do with
can
the
shape
tomorrow.
your tomorrow, actually.
Absolutely.
That's
So
absolutely
don't
like,
think of opportunity cost as a loss.
and
Opportunity
you know
cost,
what?
the cost to growth, and that's it. Period. So be willing to work hard, put in your best, and you're going
That's
to
what
get
I wanted to say, that laziness has no place in growing as well.
absolutely.
So, and then for me, I think, Hadi, I like to see, especially our youth, I like to see those that are willing to have their own initiative and work towards it. And these
Absolutely.
are the ones I'm like, you know what, I'm willing to help. And I'll take like an example of the lady that is like living right next to me. I have
Absolutely.
seen how this lady is trying from one thing to the other. Do you know what I mean? And I was there. I actually helped her. I got some things for her towards that business, because I said to her, because I see this lady, like she's not lazy, she's driving like, yes, all of they wanted. I'm pass. Man, I like to see that in people. So I'm a pass, like say if the madeni. You know what I mean? Because these are the type of people that if you help them, they can actually achieve a lot more. Exactly. Exactly.
And it
So, I
reminds
mean,
me of SND. We had a guest, SND, Daniel, and he was talking about his story and the things that he went through. And it makes me think of the whole wall of saying, Pondi tanka again, Pondi tat. Absolutely.
that's true.
And you know, people always think, no, man, what I just need is for Mohammed to give me 100,000. Mohammed, so 100,000, like, you know, everything will just, you know, everything will be fine. Man, Mohammed, 1 million, right?
Yeah.
But they don't
Look at that.
understand that
How do
Mohammed will probably never have the inclination to give you that 1 million,
Right.
seeing you sit in one place. But if
Exactly.
Mohammed sees you go up and down, up and down, up and down, Mohammed might not give you the 1 million, but Mohammed might introduce you to someone who would give you a certain contract that will earn you 10K that you can put aside, and then that person will give you another contract, and all of a sudden, what, your 100K is coming.
Yeah, exactly.
And point in case, my life, I have a small business on the side, and I had always been telling my dad, oh, you are not willing to invest in good. If you give me 1 million, me, I will do business, you know. My dad used to tell me, what business would you do? Like, what? Where would I get the 1 million? Study first. If you study, you know, let me give you the money for the study. If you study, when I finish my study, you know, I don't want to work for anyone. Me, I'm an entrepreneur. That's why I did business
And
study.
Hadi, I will take you also, I will take you as an example. Like,
But my little.
You have to, it's not like whatever that you're going to find success in the first thing that you're venturing. You know what I mean? Success doesn't come like that. And then I'm taking you as an example. You have actually started something else, but it did not go how you wanted it.
No, we lost a lot of money.
Stop you. For me, I was like, Alice B. But you're like, you know what, Danke, it's okay. You know what I mean? I'll just say how to manage. But now, you know what I mean? There's something else. And mashallah, you're doing very well. And inshallah, don't worry. Very soon, you'll find us both in Gambia. Like
the sky will be the beginning, right?
Yes,
you know,
yes, exactly.
Absolutely. You'll make a lot of mistakes. There'll be so many losses. I know there are business people who have made millions of losses, but I've had my own fair share of my little thousands and hundreds of thousands of losses. So I've lost a great deal, but
it's just not like you did not have a good business plan as well. You had a great one.
But then you lose. But then my dad did not have to give me the money, but he gave me the opportunities.
Right.
And, you know, I got a job. My job gave me other opportunities. I met other people, always meeting people. And I'm sure, you know, don't give up.
Don't give up.
You're going to lose a lot, but trust me, you're going to gain a great deal.
Eventually.
Eventually, yes. As long as you don't give up and you work hard and you're honest. Honesty and integrity, because I think one thing that we need to highlight, Mohammed, before we go, there's this whole attitude of fast money, fast gains, that each to their own, live your life the way you want to, but there are consequences to everything. And trust me, great wealth is not built in a day.
Dishonesty.
It's over time. It's over time.
It's over time. And your brand, your personal brand is more important than any wealth that you build.
Exactly.
because your integrity and your honesty can bring you millions that will stay for hundreds of years to benefit not only you, but your generations to come and leave a legacy. Right. And, and yes, there are people who are dishonest who have left legacies. However, if I had a choice to be part of the people who have integrity and honesty and left a legacy, as opposed to the opposite, I'd rather be part of the people who are yes, and have integrity. So in everything that we do, let's have integrity, let's be honest, and let's be hardworking, and things will work out.
Things will work out. Those are the words of Miss Hadi Deva. Eventually. Thank you very much, ladies. I mean, like I said, we cannot exhaust this. I think we have to think of probably a part 2 of this session or show. It's something that we cannot be able to exhaust. We will keep on talking and talking. It's not going to end. But I really appreciate, ladies. I can't have any better people like you people to start with to discuss.
Especially our guest, Danke. Thank you so much for coming on. So much
Thank you for having me.
Indeed. So Danke, this is a good beginning for you. I mean, we will always knock on your door on subsequent topics. When we have subsequent topics that will definitely be seeking or knocking on your door whenever necessary. So, whatever busy schedules you have to start putting on your calendar. Generation Next can come anytime.
Absolutely.
You have no idea. I was so happy that I was supposed to go on and I was like, Hadi, I already said to Mohammed that, on Saturday, and but thank God it was moved. So I'm so happy to be here.
We're grateful.
We're happy to have you.
We're grateful. So ladies, thank you very much. I'm so glad that we have this session today. We couldn't start the year with anything better than just this for us to prepare ourselves to become better people in the future. And I thank you both. Unfortunately, we didn't have our other speaker with us today, but I'm grateful that both of you made it greater than I can ever imagine. So if you are there listening, make sure these advices are very much keen and then listen to them and take them well, because this is going to help you to chop off anything that is not helpful to you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Focus on what is going to help you. Become somebody better off. Every day is another day for you to become better. So don't lose those opportunities for you to become the better person that you are. So thank you, Hadi. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Until we meet again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank
you.
Great.
Bye.
Bye. So we have
Bye.
stopped.